My name is Tyrone Phillips, and I am the founding artistic director of Chicago's Definition Theater, and I am here in Krannert directing the Royale for the University Department of Theater. This play inherently has all of the values in art or in kind of art relationship that I like, which is that it's musical. There are music elements into it. There are movement pieces in it, written in. There's claps written into the script. So there's already a rhythm at play. As a first generation Jamaican American, I love music, I love rhythm. And so even if a play I'm directing does not have it, I'll put it in. I'll find a way to make sure that that experience is had for our audiences. This play naturally had it, and so that was the first thing that got me. But then I didn't know about Jack Johnson, to be completely honest. I didn't know his full story. And so when I found out that truly his championship fight happened and the government did not play it, they banned the showing, and cameras were just coming to life as well during this time. They decided not to show that of what that image could do during that time. And so again, I was like, oh, this play literally makes us not only look at his life, but look at the fights that he was fighting in and outside of the ring to really have a career that I aspired to have. Jack Johnson took no mess. He was a very bold person. We would say his personality was ahead of his time, right? But I love the freedom that he walked in and owned as an African American in America. I love this play because my hope for it happens immediately as someone walks into the space, right? My hope is that we all take a moment to look at the story of Jack Johnson, see his trials and tribulations, and see if we've grown and how far we've come from 1910 when it comes to race relations, when it comes to being the best at what you do, when it comes to love. Lots of different things in this story that I think the audience will connect with. But my number one goal is for them to pay reverence to his story, to build a monument, a living monument to Jack Johnson was the goal, and I think we've done so. Another thing that's special about this production that it's in the Tryon Festival Theater. And as a theater student, we're normally, we perform in the Colwell Playhouse or the Studio Theater. This is the first endeavor that I think in history that the theater department has produced in this space. And so that is something that I'm going to remind the cast of today of like, I have professors who are like, I've never directed there. I've never been in this space. So to inhabit this space at such a large scale where operas are usually performed is super exciting. It's a very small cast, a very intimate story. And so the challenge I threw to all the designers was how do we then make sure this delivers and actually like flows into the hearts of the audience versus having a separation, having sometimes in a proscenium setup, right? The audience can feel very much so like, that's a nice story, but it has nothing to do with me. I'm just here hanging out. I'm gonna get drinks and intermission, right? With this play, I really wanted to make sure that it didn't feel like, oh, we're going back in time, and so releasing the tension or the pressure of me having to be an active participant. I feel, again, as part of anti-racism, as part of just doing the work and pushing the needle forward in equity and inclusion and diversity, you have to be active. There is no inactive person. There is no neutral when it comes to those issues. And so this play very much forward. We brought everything downstage. You'll experience it, but we broke the wall, the proscenium wall, a lot to make sure that the audience cannot escape. And I think in this process in particular, I was super impressed. We had our designers run, which is about halfway through the process, where all designers come and see the work and then prepare to move from the rehearsal room to the actual performance stage. This designer one was probably one of the strongest I've had in my career. The clarity of the actors' intentions and just why we were all gathered in this space to hear this story was the strongest it's ever been. So Alyssa Thomas is our scenic designer, and so that collaboration began almost a year ago. But she's been incredible at, again, the challenges, making this very intimate story, intimate at times, but also at the same time, it's monumental, right? Having that grand gesture. And so we are elated to work with Chicago visual artist Nico Washington, and he actually created a mural of Jack Johnson that will be used in the production. It was a dream. I'm a fan of his work for a very long time. Alyssa actually brought it up in a meeting cold. She had no idea that I've been already following this artist. And so it was really serendipitous to come in and come home and for her to pick right up. And so we reached out and said yes. And we're super excited for the impact that it will have on this production. I just remember, first seeing it, and we had a lot of conversations again, like what should it be about, who's in it, and again, a theme in this play of fighting things seen and unseen. Now they affect your life, right? And so we decided that this portrait was a way to, again, pay homage to him, right? If Jack was alive today and saw that, I think he would be more than appreciative, right, of the hard work that he's done that no one else really acknowledged. Acknowledgement is very, very big, I've also found, doing the work. By acknowledging some of the missteps, right? That's the only way we can even begin to prepare. We all want to be the best. And so I love about that story is also when you are on the front page, though, what responsibility do you have to your community? What do you have with the places that made you who you are, right? And so for me, it's the same thing of you can't forget where you came from, no matter how much success, right, I receive. Paying it forward, coming back and making sure people know, here's my route. You don't have to take this route, but there are so many other avenues to truly get what you want. And so, which is a little bit about determination. And Jack Johnson, he traveled the world to make what he wanted to happen. We're super excited about the design for those reasons, multiple things, in that it's an intimate show, but then by the end, there's a grand gesture that I hope is a powerful and moving moment for us all in recognizing all of the work that it took for Jack Johnson to live his life. Again, I think, if you don't know him, do your research. There's so much out there, actually. And there's actually, again, it's about the power of undiscovering history, right? At the foundation of America, there is a lot of mess, but we have to acknowledge it in order to move forward. And so I think this play, and why I'm going to do it again later this year, it is an act of anti-racism. Our lead, Jalen, who's playing Jack Johnson, is so dedicated to doing it right. And I appreciate it. But after casting, he was immediately reaching out to me to figure out what he should be doing, what he should be watching, the reverence. I think that Jalen, if everyone can lead with that attack up to the reverence of Jack's life, I will feel great. And because working with him, I can just tell there's sometimes conversations not even had, but the way he presents himself on stage or how he presents Jack in a certain situation is so in tune with the spirit of Jack that we were trying to create. And so he's been a leader to the cast as a lead role, but also as an individual, as an artist. I'm grateful because it's very interesting. You come back, you don't know the student body, I'm meeting them for the first time and hoping to meet the souls of the characters. And so sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not. We're so fortunate. I'm so fortunate, all of us, that these souls are here. After our production, the portrait by Nico Washington will actually go to the Siebel Center. It will be there for a while. This part I should be careful about, but I'm doing the show at American Players Theater in the summer, and they've also inquired about, okay, can we maybe have it here? And what is that? So crazily enough, this portrait that no one made or inspired to care about to make before is now having a life of its own. It's striking. It's striking is what I'll say. Coming back to the university and working with the students, being on the other side of the table and guiding them in the process is so fulfilling and rewarding. It's why I do come back. I came back in 2016 or 17 for a play, and that was the kind of out-of-body experience as well. But this time coming back, not only do I feel a little bit more confident, but I know what the students are going through. I know what they're trying to achieve. I know when they want to just impress, and I'm like, that's not good enough, right? Talent and skill can get you so far, but it's really about the craft. It's about how you are in the rehearsal room. It's about so many things that you can't really learn except by doing. And so for me, I love they're curious minds, right? But to be able to say, these are the things that are missing in our industry right now. These are the skills that if you hone in on, you can have a career in this. I believe time is all we have, right? And so how you use that time tells me everything about you. So when I walk into a room where artists are saying yes to a story, yes to creating, right, the script, yes to the Royale, I take that seriously. And so by default, they have to take it seriously as well. Great to be not only respected as a guest artist, but also as a student returning home. I learned a lot about myself here in Urbana-Champaign. Whenever I walk into Krannert, and especially when I go downstairs in the walls in which I became an artist, there's always a moment of full circleness that happens, right? And then I think about literally, these are the walls that saw me struggle, right, years back. And when I wanted to maybe give up, or when I was like, this is an amazing day, I want to remember this feeling forever. A lot of those memories are in the walls of these buildings. And so no matter what, it's what I love about it is that I'm also reminded, and why I come here into educational experiences in particular, is I always want to remind the actors or the students that are training that they're also already artists. They have things that they are drawn to. They may have an inkling of what they want to change about the world. And although your job as a student is to try everything on, you need to also be building your toolbox that does work for you, right? Like at the end of the day, it's great to be a good student, but it doesn't afford you anything if you don't know who you are at the end of it, right? And so I love this program because they do have professional standards. They don't lower the bar in any type of way because it's educational. And that's, I think I helped instill that to say, I'm out here doing this every day and you can be a leader if you have these attributes, right? And so reminding them that they're artists is just as important as, again, the everyday schoolwork that they're going through. When I come back to U of I, I'm also still, my heroes are still here. The people who I learned the fundamentals of how to move through this artistic world are still here. And so to now talk to them and be paying it forward, I think is what's very clear for me, is that I'm like, oh, that's why I was a good student, but this is why I'm a better artist, and why they also enjoy bringing me back to make sure that they can see there is an example, right? I think also what I'm passionate about personally is also here, and that people of color, again, are usually on stage, but not backstage. When you look at decision-making roles, you don't see them there, and I've been there from the beginning, right? And so Definition's been around for a decade, and again, started here, started in these walls. And so I think just the value of just having the story that meets the occasion as well. I feel very responsible for the experience these artists have over the next couple of months. And then we share it with the world, right? And so that kind of just being generous, being patient, being open to what they actually have, right, in rehearsal, not planning it all without them is part of the process. And so adding their voices, seeing what students are going through now, remembering what I went through, right? That's how you make history, by not repeating the same mistakes. And so I think it's just great agency being here. Yeah, working with the faculty here is always a treat because, again, they watched me become an artist, they watched me figure it out, and now to come back and watch me walking in my power as a director, I think is a treat for them. And also, I remember all the things that sometimes still are here. I should say, I sometimes remember the things that have not changed, and about the process or the order in which we do things. And so I'm serious about equity on every front, and I that's my career, unfortunately, and fortunately as well. But coming here again, I learned they are people first here at this university. Our faculty, our staff, they always were making sure that we are our healthiest selves, because without that, you can't be an actor. Without that, you can't be a healthy designer. You can't be in a meeting, right, if you're not truly okay at home or in your personal life. And so I think the grace that they give, it's also exciting for them to see my life is like starting to change, right? They've literally watched me from student to professional. And so being able to talk about what we've learned and to some of the values they've instilled, and I'm like, oh, now I understand. Now I get why you're a nag about this one thing, right? That conversation is beautiful, and now again they're looking at me and saying, "Oh my God, now the student has become the teacher." It's sometimes hard to find. I think as artists, a lot of the times we remember that first experience that got us hooked to storytelling, or we felt like a different person, and we were seen though for the first time. There's something about creating art that I find a lot of my friends chase a feeling that they had once before. It is beautiful when you can find a script that, again, speaks to your artistic expression and the way that you like to move through the world. And so for me, this play in particular, when I first read it and I saw the claps and I saw the rhythm of the text and the rhythm, again, that just built in the show. And I was overcome with that feeling of the first time creating again. That's always a good sign. I read hundreds of scripts. And so when they speak to you, you have to pay attention. I was a senior working on the last days of Judas Iscariot here at University of Illinois. And I went to rehearsal early, and I was looking through, getting my script out, and I found myself lost in the conversation that was happening between the director and the lighting designer. And I mean, when I say lost, I'm like zoned out. And so I snapped back too, and I was like, what was that about? I was like, truly, like, and I'm senior, I'm preparing to leave this place. Like, what was that about? Why did I care so much? Oh, as an actor, I truly care about creating the world and what elements are helping supporting that world. And I always, I would get the note as an actor, stop directing yourself. And I would hate it. I would hate getting that no. I would tense up. I'm doing it now, but I've learned. Why are you directing yourself? And once I realized, oh, it's not the thing I should be fighting. It's my artist self telling me, I want to do this. This makes me happiest, right? Not happier, but happiest. And so after that, I had to do that show. I had to graduate. I've done so much work, but truly, this impulse of then having definition and then landing in the position of artistic director, which I have never even seen or read about. But naturally, it was a fit at the beginning, and people, that was the role that I assumed and have been doing so now for the past 11 years. So it's almost my time to go and shared power and share all the things that I've learned. I'm like, in order for the organization to live beyond me, we have to practice that too. And so, it was a very, very aha moment for sure when I caught myself in that conversation. But it was about care. I care about the entire world, not just my acting role. This is home. The Krannert Center, I'll say all of it. Krannert Center, University of Illinois, right? Urbana-Champaign, Definition Theater, which is where I spent all of my time in Chicago now artistically. It's my artistic home. Started in these walls, right? I found some of those people who I create forever with now here in the university as an undergrad. And so I was an acting major here, and I was in my final year when I realized that directing was my true passion. And I thought, oh my God, I spent 4 years studying this one thing. But the beauty of it was I learned about what it takes to make art happen. And so for me, that lesson, and then being asked to come back, it just felt like a homecoming, like truly. I was just back for a homecoming this past year as the Alumni Association's Diversity and Inclusion Award recipient. And so for it to follow now immediately that, I feel like truly I am back home, right, working on this piece. Still, with challenges as an artist, still facing things that, if you're doing it right, it scares you a little bit every day to make choices that you hope the audience will leave and talk about and make sure that the message is clear, right? And so it's exciting to put all the elements together, but U of I Urbana-Champaign is one of the best run programs. Definition Theater took its first steps in the Armory. We did a workshop production of The Brother Size by Academy Award winner Charles McCraney, and the audience was in a round configuration. I'll never forget it. And that truly is where we said, okay, we found out this is what it takes to produce. It was a student-run place, so we had to figure out, oh, this is what it takes to make a play. You need a lighting designer, you need a scenic designer, you need a props designer, you need all these other people, right? And so the art of collaboration was learned here, and I take that with me as well, like I create in Chicago. James Imes is a playwright that is, I won't even say up and coming. He's arrived, and he is ensemble member with Definition Theater. He is one of our newer ensemble members, and his plays, he has so many plays that are similar to this, in which they are acts of equity. They are acts of, let's look at this story that we all know, but investigate it, twist it, and really see what's really at the root of it, and what can we take from it for today. And so James is someone that I'm following everything he does. Also, again, it's just incredible to have him as an artistic home with us at Definition. Kiki Lane is an actress that has been taking over the screen, and we were in love with her work. And she started with us, graduating from DePaul, and did her first professional production with us, and now is a Hollywood star. So we're watching some trajectories that are really beautiful, but again, they're good people first. I think it's just really exciting, and they've chosen to call Definition their home. Definition Theater celebrates stories created with, intended for, and inspired by people and communities of color. And so I think our work, our art making, is usually informed and hopes to expand perspectives. It helps to steward resources, and then to bridge the immense possibility found at an intersection of art, education, and innovation. And so we're really looking at how art and economics work together in the community. We are producing plays on the south side of Chicago, and we are building our home in Woodlawn. We're in a capital campaign right now, raising the funds, I should say, for our new home in Woodlawn on 64th and Cottage Grove. What's incredible is that we're experiencing a lot of growth. I think we became industry leaders overnight with the murder of George Floyd and many other racial reckonings that happened in our country. And so we've already been asking those hard questions for a decade, truly, at that time. And so for us, it's now really about creating a space, an environment where the mission can outlive us. where we know it's needed. We have submissions to plays, and we see the networks of people who want to work with us, and we know that there needs to be a place, there needs to be a home in Chicago specifically that we think will then be kind of an example for the rest of the world.